Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to No Covers Live, Straight Talk, No Chaser, here at the studios of WLTT 1180 AM. I'm your host, Dawood Alameen, coming to you out of the port city of Wilmington, North Carolina, on a Friday afternoon here in the port city of Wilmington. Got a lot to cover today, but before I start, I want to go over some of the programming that we have at WLTT 1180 as our audience starts to tune in. I know we always have our Facebook audience, and you can always catch us on Facebook Live every time that we are on the air. And if you miss us, you can always come back and catch us in the evening back on the air again. But I wanted to share with you today some of the programming that we have, because a lot of times we tune into one show and we miss the other shows. I want to highlight some of the things that we've done here at WLTT 1180. In the morning time from 7 to 12, we have Hispanic programming. So if you have some Hispanic friends, let them know that the station from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. is solely Hispanic programming. I've been tuning in and loving some of the music that I'm hearing coming out, and some of the programming in the conversation as well. We have the Patty Show that comes on at 12:30 to 12 o'clock to 12:30 on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. That's on both stations, both 1180 a.m. and 1490 a.m. Political Pulse with Dr. Tony. That's a good show to catch sometime. I love Dr. Tony's insight and his fair-mindedness of approach. 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And of course, No Covers with myself, Dawood Alameen, Straight Talk, No Chaser at 12:30 and 1:30, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You can catch me on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you also get me on Facebook Live. We have the Rowe Show, the Sports Connection with Jack Rowe. That comes on from 1:30 to 2:30, 5 days a week. That's Monday through Friday. So you sports fans, tune in, WLTT 1180, or go to 1180WLTT.com. You can also catch us there. Success with Dr. Herbert Harris. And Dr. Herbert Harris has a great book on success. That's 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. That's on Tuesdays only. So you got to catch Dr. Herbert in the office. He don't talk much, but when he talks, he give it to you straight. From the Heart. That comes on from 2:30 to 3:30. That's on Thursday only also. That's with my good friend, Mike Evans. And Common Ground, every day with Harvard, Common Down Progressive Coalition. That's on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 3 to 4. And every day, Monday through Friday, you can also catch the legendary Harvard Jennings and Derek Anderson on Let's Talk. That's from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. here at WLTT 1180 a.m. Getting into today's show, I want to first start off. I'm going to go somewhere and come back somewhere, because I got a lot to cover and a short time to cover it in. I'll be here until 1:30. But I want to first start off with South Africa, because I promised my audience I will stay tuned and stay on contract and stay on my outline and not get thrown off. But I'm going to get thrown off a little bit today because of the comments I've already seen on Facebook this morning. We're celebrating for for those of you who have tuned in and No Covers for the first time. I always shout out to my Little Guys Academy, the homeschool network here in Wilmington, North Carolina. That's a network of homeschool students that are constantly in. I think this is their lunchtime. They usually will come in sometime today. And so I always give them their homework assignment for the day. So their homework assignment or history lesson, we call it Can't Stop, Won't Stop, is about Donna Woods. That is our story for the day, the story of Donna Woods. And for you all that don't know, Donna Woods was born in 1934, and he was a white South African journalist. He was a fifth-generation South African prodigy, I would say. And when I say a fifth-generation South African, because I want to make that clear. Donna Woods grew up in an apartheid South Africa. He was a fifth generation. So he grew up with a very, I would say, racist mindset. He inherited that from his 5 generations of Afrikaners that had apartheid-like racist mindset. So he had that mindset growing up. The interesting story of Donna Woods is because if there is no Donna Woods, and this is coming from a person who grew up with the South African apartheid movement, when I came into what we call revolutionary mindset or the freedom fighter mindset, it was by me listening to a group called Steel Pulse. And I started listening to and studying Nelson Mandela in South Africa and I got to know the history of South Africa, the movement. So in 1977, the person that I ran into in high school was Steve Biko. The history of Steve Biko and the language that he was putting out in South Africa at that time was coming to us primarily through a white Donald Woods. Donald Woods was a journalist who ran into Steve Biko. And Donald Woods was a lawyer at first. He went to school to law, and then he eventually became a journalist. What happened was Donald Wood, being a Afrikaner, a white Afrikaner in South Africa, when he ran into Biko, he began to listen with his ear and not with the heart that he had been bred with. I'm at this story for a reason today. And it's coincidental because I wasn't going here today. I was going here in another direction. But as I started Steve Biko's story, I began to understand the story of Donald Woods. If you watch the movie Cry Freedom, you'll get a good example of their relationship. Donald Woods helped make Steve Biko, and Steve Biko helped educate Donald Woods to what was really going on in the country that both of them truly loved. If there is no Donald Woods, like Steve Biko, was banned from South Africa. Steve Biko was banned and was imprisoned and was killed, murdered, for all actuality. Donald Woods, being a white Afrikaner, they wouldn't dare do that to him, but what they did is ban him to his home, and he could only meet with one or two people. He eventually had to leave, and he had to leave and go overseas to get his work out. He ended up moving his family to London, and there he was able, Donald Woods, was able to launch international pressure and international insight into what was going on in South Africa. Remember, this is 1977. Nelson Mandela is still locked up. He doesn't come out to 94. So Donald Woods was the catalyst because it was international attention brought onto the plight of South Africa that made it so that people began to understand and take a listen to what was going on in the apartheid regime in South Africa. They knew it existed, but they didn't know to the detail and didn't have a voice to put pressure on the international community to say enough is enough. It was Donald Woods and his transcripts of his conversation with Stephen Biko that came out with the 87 movie Cry Freedom that starred Denzel Washington and Kevin Kline. Kevin Kline played Woods, of course, and Denzel Washington played the hero, the martyr, Steve Biko. 87, when this movie comes out, now comes the second push. And then in 87, you have Trans-Africa, which I was a part of. I had the privilege of working with Trans-Africa in the early 83, 84 campaigns, what we call the Unlock Apartheid Jail campaign. And this is where we would gather keys and go to the embassy of South Africa on a weekend, and literally throw keys, keys that we had collected all over the country, literally throw buckets of keys at the South African embassy to unlock the jails of Nelson Mandela. But it was Donald Woods' commentary that shed light on the events that were going on in South Africa. Now, why do I say that today? I said it because I wanted to first say Donald Woods was a fifth-generation Afrikaner. Donald Woods grew up with a very, and he talks about this clearly, very racist mindset. He grew up with a very apartheid, pro-apartheid mindset. He believed that they were doing nothing wrong with the system of apartheid. He believed that it was right for the whites, the minority, to rule. This is the way he grew up. Remember, I said it was 5 generations. He had 5 generations of his family line that has been there in the African nation of South Africa. And so they had by right claimed it as theirs and thought it was their country by right. So to my network, I see have joined in, the Little Kings Network, Karaya and Amir. Your study lesson for the day is Donald Woods. Go study him and study Steve Biko, because Donald Woods is going to lead you to Biko. And your film for this week on, because I know Brother Roscoe is always asking, is Cry Freedom. That's your film to study this weekend, the movie Cry Freedom, which will give you a greater insight into the lessons that we can learn from South Africa. Now, I guess I say that to break way to here because I have to talk about it because it's being talked about all over the internet. I am very opinionated on the subject. I got into a deep conversation today, and that is the conversation concerning the exit of Omarosa. What I will say to start off with, I don't know who gave certain black folks their hood card back, because a lot of people, I don't know who gave, again, I won't say it clear. No covers, don't shoot, no, we straight talk, no chaser. I don't know who gave Whoopi her hood card back and how she got it. She makes statements sometimes for the black community, and I'm still asking, who gave you your hood card back? When did we give you your black card back? We took it away from you a while back, and we give it back to you occasionally, but don't think that you speak for the entire black community. And that's the problem that I see. This conversation here has opened my eyes today to something that's been in my heart for some time, that I've seen in my heart for some time, what is a problem for us as black folks. I could care less about the sister. To be really honest, she's my sister. But as personally, some of the things she's done, I haven't sided with some of the things she's done. I haven't sided with some of the appointments she's made or helped make. Some of the supposedly reach out to the black community that she did during the election. Some of the comments that she made the election. I have a serious problem with that. However, I'm not, as a field general, as a student of politics and a student of maneuvers, as a student of The Godfather, the movie, I understand how to maneuver. And I understand gems when they come and fall into my lap. And so I will stand by the statement that I made, that while we're beating up on the sister and tearing her down, maybe we should look at trying to utilize her to get the information she can utilize to help destroy a common enemy we have sitting in the White House. I mean, 37% approval rate across the board, 36% yesterday, 36% approval rate, the lowest of any president ever. That 36% approval rate, that approval rating is not just coming from black folks. That's coming from white folks. That's coming from folks that even voted for him have dropped their approval rate. So we're in a situation there where it's warfare. It's time to tilt the tide. So if somebody sends me a gift horse in my lap, I'm not going to reject the gift horse and say, hey, because I have a disagreement with the horse, because I use that to lead into Stephen Biko. See, Donald Woods was a racist growing up. And had Stephen Biko not took the time to talk to them, to educate him on the policies of South Africa, Donald Woods would have stayed a racist. And the institution of apartheid may still be in place. Because, like I said, it was this international pressure that brought the eyes of the world to a situation. And Nelson Mandela would have rotted in jail had the international pressure that not come. So here was a man that grew up in his own comments. Donald Woods grew up a racist, grew up as a separatist. He grew up thinking that the system that they had in place in South Africa was correct. It wasn't until he grew, it wasn't until he got to see for himself, it wasn't until his own eyes gravitated to a different opinion, his own ears heard a different opinion, that he moved in a different direction. I have learned to not be so judgmental of people because they don't agree with the way I agree. Because in the past, I have said some things that people would say he's a racist. If they took it out of the context in which I said it, or even in the context of which I said it, that's what they would say. There are some people to this day that still may feel that very way. But I have to learn to understand that people only know what they see on the surface. You don't know the individual. So we're so quick to tear each other down. I have learned that some of the people who are actually tearing each other down are the very people who were on the same cross just yesterday. Yes. There are people that are commenting, people that I'm listening to comment about this situation with her exiting the White House that was on the same cross yesterday, a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. They were wearing the same, I would call it what we say, Uncle Tom t-shirts. Yes. It was just, Gwendolyn knows exactly what I'm talking about. She texted back this morning, and I knew I caught your wink, sister. She knew exactly what I'm talking about. So as we play warfare, as we study, as we maneuver and be wise, you may argue, well, maybe she's got a telltale book that she's just trying to make her money. So be it. I mean, so what? Maybe in it she's going to tell us some things that we need to know. Yeah, maybe she can give a. She may have some keys to the tower. She may have some accusations that might be legit. Yeah. Wait. Don't be so quick to get back at someone because you've been mad. See, a lot of us I'm gonna say this, and a lot of you might understand what I'm going to go to. A lot of this pro-black that I'm seeing is not pro-black, it's anti-Trump. Make it clear now. A lot of this pro-black that I'm beginning to see it ain't pro-black because you're not pro-black on certain issues. You're just anti-Trump. Anti-Trump don't mean you pro-black. So you all that now think you have the whole card to criticize the black community or discuss things in the black community, and you just came to this fight yesterday because of Trump, you anti-Trump. It's no different. What I'm hearing today with her is no different that I see the football players run when Kirk calls him SOB. But when my man Colin was sitting there on the sidelines doing his thing, we wasn't doing anything. Those brothers wasn't raising their fists up. They was looking at Colin saying, you fool, we trying to get paid. That's what they was doing. It was about 4 or 5 brothers that last year, not this year, that last year was actually going out and sitting down with Colin and standing behind Colin and saying, yeah, we with you, brother, solidarity. It was about 1 or 2 on each team. It was 1 or 2. But all of a sudden, the president of the United States said SOB. He says SOB, and all of a sudden, now everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon. Well, you're not being pro-black. You're being anti-Trump. You're being anti the president. You're being just mad because somebody called you a name. We've been calling names for 400 years. You didn't get upset then? So now, all of a sudden, he makes a statement that you jump on the bandwagon. That's not being pro-black. I'm sorry, that's being anti-Trump. So all this bandwagon jumping I'm hearing this morning about Omarosa, well, we knew who she was stood anyway when she did Apprentice. She'd been in Trump ass for 14 years. We know where she stood. That wasn't nothing new. But all of a sudden, when she gets kicked out, oh, you want a big beater to the curb because now we going to boom, boom, we pro-black. See? You want to come back home. She's not coming back to some of y'all homes because you was never home either. You were never in the house either. You haven't put 25, 30 years of blood, sweat, and tears. Your children haven't sacrificed with this movement. We're struggling to make sure your people eat, live, take care of, that the children are getting educated properly, that the hood is represented the correct way. Many of these people out here talking ain't been in the streets, ain't been down on the block with the brothers. Matter of fact, many of them here talking right by the brothers today still. You're not talking about you're not dealing with the issues of mass incarceration. Many of the folks beating up the sisters, they not. What's this Robin on Good Morning America? When have you talked anything pro-black on Good Morning America? When? All of a sudden, now you're going to, bye, Felicia. Okay, you got your punchline in. You got your one line in, but when have any of these people? I watch The View, I watch Whoopi. Sometimes I have to cry. But when have you stood on the real issues that's facing as mass incarceration? When have you discussed the difference between opiate and crack and how the opiate is now getting the money and the cracks are not? Yeah. No. When have you actually stood up is what I'm asking for those ones that now want to jump and utilize a position to beat down a sister. She's still a sister. I believe, here's my theory, and I could be wrong, and I'm gonna talk about this in the second half. But see, when I look at someone makes a change, I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, I've watched and studied Sister Omarosa for over 5 years. I watched her when Trump first started talking about running. And I knew she would be in his cabinet. But I also watched her relationships. And I watched the men she associated herself with. And that's why I said in my post today, you'd be good to go study her husband. Go YouTube a couple of his sermons. Go study his church down there in Florida. She's the first lady of the church now. I think a lot of this has to do with his relationship and his being on her mind, because she is a very good, honest Christian woman. I do know that about her. And I do know he's a God-fearing man. I've watched him preach several times. I don't just judge a person. I go listen to him. He's what I call I don't deal with preachers. I deal with theologians. He's a theologian. He's a very good theologian. And I think his context, believe that, he's a staunch Democrat as well. And I believe she looked at the divided house and had to make a call. Number one, I saw that coming probably about a year ago. They dated for a year before they got married. I saw this coming for a minute. For a minute, I saw it coming. But now, there'll be other issues that she's had to deal with that may be legit. You don't know. But some of the folks obviously beating her. Y'all just came to the fight yesterday. You just got your hood card back about 2 months ago. So don't separate anti-Trump from pro-black. If you anti-Trump, just say you're anti-Trump. But don't be anti-Trump and now you speaking for all black folks. Because there's a lot of issues on that's pro-black that you run away from. You may beat her up. But let me mention some names. Let me talk about Kwame Ture. You just started wearing Malcolm stickers last year. And Lord, don't let me say the Farrakhan word. You definitely run. Now, let's just be honest. There is some subject matter within the black community that a lot of anti-Trump folks won't deal with. And they run away from. And so what I realize is, I'm going to talk about the second half. Come back with me if you would. I realize that what I've come to realize is you're not getting 40 million people to agree ever. You're not getting 45 million to agree ever. What we're waiting on is for all black folks to agree before we make a move. We're not all going to agree. We can't even agree on Michael. We can't even agree on LeBron versus Kobe. We can't. We waiting. We think everybody got to fit in this one bucket and agree. My thought process. I had that thought process at one time. I'll be honest. There was one time that I believed that all of us just need to get up and we got to go. We got to separate. We got to leave and do something. If you ain't with us, you run. I had that thought process. I had that narrow-minded thought process at one time. I did. I have to be honest. I learned to grow. Just because I disagree with a person, I don't agree with that person, don't mean I have to dislike that person. That's their opinion. But what we're waiting on, we're sitting at this I talked about yesterday. We have no platform or plan. Here we are sitting here with a situation in Alabama we can't even capitalize on because we don't have a platform. Why? Because we can't agree on the platform. The Black Lives Matter movement came up with a platform. We still haven't agreed on it yet. We can never agree on what platform is best to agree on. So what happens? We get stuck in the mud. So what happens? We get a new person that just got in Alabama. He's got 16 people, as I said yesterday, knocking on his door, all saying they represent the black agenda. And each one of them's got 16 different versions. And the version that's in their top item is what they want. what's good in it for them. That's how we're operating, y'all. Gotta go pay some bills. I'll be right back on the second half of the hour.